If there's anything I've learned through my relationships, friendships, dealing with people in general, is that you cannot expect yourself out of everyone else. You can't expect everybody to be like you. And I feel like oftentimes when you create an expectation for other people to be just like you or make the decision that you would make, that's what leads you to your own disappointment the most, because you're so attached and you're so expecting that, you'll respond to this situation in this mature way. You'll handle this situation or handle this conversation in this way. And it's like, you have in your mind, like, it's not that big of a deal, or you just want to be heard, or you just want to be understood. And it's like, you know how you would receive it, or you know how you want them to receive it, but it's like they see it through a completely different lens, and it just frustrates you. And things can go south very, very easily because people just misinterpret or don't handle certain situations how you would have handled them. And I'll be the first to say that I created that expectation for a while. I always expected people to care as much as I did. I thought people would, respect me the way I respected them. You sometimes can expect the love you give to be the love you receive. And I've had to learn that that's not always the case. And I've had to learn to understand that people are going to be who they are, and that you can't change anybody who doesn't care to be changed. You can't fix anybody who doesn't even know they're broken. And sometimes it's not even that we're broken. Sometimes it's not even that we necessarily need change. Sometimes you're just not a person for somebody, or a person's not for you. And that's completely fine, because you also have to understand that each of us have our own story. Each of us have our own upbringing and our own place in which we come from, meaning we have our own different fears, meaning we have our own values, meaning we have our own perspectives on the world. And we could go deeper into childhood and what we've been taught, childhood experiences, and what happened when it came to communication and trying to be heard, and, how we had to get love or how we receive love. It's like we can go into it deeper and logically more, but sometimes you just got to understand that some people are just different, and that you can't fix anybody. You can't change anybody. And that trying to change people really just ends up hurting yourself. Because I'm a person where I've seen myself lose certain friends. I've seen myself lose certain relationships solely because a person just had the wrong idea. They had the wrong approach to it. It's like, man, if you could just say this one thing, if you could just be honest about this, if you could just trust me with this, if you could just, stick through this discomfort and this hard time and not give up so easily, it's like, then things could have worked out. But it's like, I had to understand that I can't control people, and that some people either willing to change or they're not willing to change. Some people are willing to push through. Some people are willing to understand you and where you're coming from. Some people are willing to change, again, their perspectives and their way of viewing a certain situation and set their ego and set their pride aside, while others aren't. And it's like, you got to sometimes learn to let go. You got to learn to let go of trying to control people, trying to get people to understand you, trying to get people to see your value, see your worth, hold on to you, fight for you, put in effort, put in the amount of effort that you're willing to put in, pour love into you. Like, sometimes you got to really be willing to let those things go, because, again, you're going to only end up damaging yourself. I've had to sometimes learn to understand that you can only do so much for people. You can only do so much in relationships, friendships, because it's a two-way street. It takes two in order for things to work out. And it's like, if only one side is willing to change, if only one side is willing to put in effort, then it won't work out, because then that person then I'm not receiving what I need in that relationship. I'm not receiving, the type of friendship that is good for myself, that allows me to respect myself, that allows me to have people pouring into me. And so sometimes you gotta just make that decision to be like, this situation isn't for me. I'm gonna let it go. I'm not going to, again, try and change people. I'm not trying to force people. I'm done trying to convince people. Instead, I'm just gonna put my hands up and let it be what it's going to be. Because some people just don't even see the areas in which they need to change. Because some people have been taught their entire life, whether it's by their parents, whether it's by their friends, that their way of living is the right way to live. Their selfish ways, their egotistical ways, their manipulative, controlling ways, like, that is okay. And so the moment that you step into their life and it's like, yeah, nah, you can't really control me, or you're not always going to get your way, or I'm not here to please you, I'm not here to prove myself to you, I'm not here to earn your love. It's like, it makes people uncomfortable. For me, I've had certain relationships, certain friendships, or it's like certain fears took over people, and it's like they gave into their fears, they gave into staying quiet instead of communicating, or they gave into their childhood traumas and what was comfortable to them instead of stepping into the uncomfortable in order to make things work out. And it's like, for the longest time, I tried so hard. I saw myself get so emotionally invested whenever people didn't meet my expectations, or whenever, again, people weren't responding in the way that I would have responded. And it used to get me so emotionally charged up. It was like, why are you not doing this? Why aren't you reacting in this way? All you need to do is communicate with me in this. Or it's like, I just used to see myself get so attached, and it's like, I wouldn't crash out, but I used to just get emotionally invested, where I would ask a lot of questions. I might send a bunch of text messages. I might try and prove myself. I might just need a whole bunch of closure. And it was like, I had to come to a point where it's like, it's not even worth the effort. Like, again, sometimes you got to let people be who they are and let people go on their own growth journey and figure things out for themselves, and understand that, hey, in this season of my life, what I want, the type of people I want around me, the type of relationship I want, you're not capable of being that person because you're just not there yet. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't mean I'm a better person than you. It doesn't mean I'm above you in any way, shape, or form. It just means, hey, you're not strong in these specific areas of my life where I might be stronger, where I have more maturity and where I have more growth in it. And that, again, that's perfectly fine. But it's like, I can't make it my responsibility to grow somebody. I can't make it my responsibility to change somebody who may not even see a reason for why they need to change. And again, that's okay, because you have to realize, and I have to realize, that I am the way I am for a reason, because I've been through different experiences. I've experienced certain events. I've gone through certain struggles. I've lost certain people, and that's what's made me change. That's what's made me grow as a person. And sometimes people haven't gone through those experiences or those necessary events to see those areas in which they need to grow, to see those areas in which they need to make changes, because they're around people who constantly support them and, amplify, or they constantly praise in a way, who they are as a person. They're around people who are yes men, and always telling them that, they're never correcting them, basically. And they're always saying, supporting their behaviors and their actions and their perspectives. And so in their eyes, their way of living life is right. And it's like, sometimes you got to see what being yourself in this moment, what it costs you in order to see those areas in which you need to make change. Again, in losing a lot of people and failing in certain areas of my life, I realized, I got to let go of this habit. I got to build this habit. I got to become this type of person. I got to value these things. I got to pay more attention here and be more intentional there. It's like, in going through experience in life, you just kind of grow as a person, because you see, I can't be this version of myself and get these certain things, or get to this level in which I'm trying to reach, or have this relationship that I wish to have, or have this success, have this business thriving, or, have these type of friends around me, because that immature version of myself isn't going to be able to maintain those type of things. I know, again, that's sometimes a hard thing to accept, but it's a thing that you have to accept, because, again, it's hard when you see somebody, or you see a friend, and it's like, I really want you to be this person I see that you can be. I see this potential within you, and you're not far off. But it's like, again, if people don't see the need to change, you can't make somebody grow into a potential that they don't even see within themselves. It's like, sometimes we create our own ideas and we create people's potential, and it's like, just because they have potential doesn't mean they're willing to step into it. Doesn't mean they're willing to grow into it. And again, sometimes you got to come to that hard conclusion and make that hard decision to say, you just aren't for me, even though I want you to be. And again, that comes with you having to let go. That comes with you having to give up. And again, let people be who they are. A lot of us, we want control in our life because we think that who we believe to be best for us is actually who's best for us. And sometimes that's not always the case. Again, sometimes we have our own plans, but then God has a completely different plan, and we have to let God take the wheel and stop trying to control every aspect of our life to be how we think it's supposed to be. Because sometimes he has a different plan for us to take us in a completely different direction, and we got to be willing to go down that road. But I really just want a lot of y'all to get to a place where you stop creating these high expectations. Obviously, as people, we'll always have expectations, and we think things will go turn out a way in which we think they'll turn out. But sometimes, things turn for the worse. Sometimes things turn for the better. Sometimes we think things are going to turn out one way and they completely a different way, whether good or bad. But again, just don't get attached to that expectation, because I feel like the more we get attached to that expectation and feel that it's guaranteed, or feel like people again need to be the way we think they need to be, which is usually the way in which we are, that we need that to happen in order for us to be okay, or in order for us to be at peace. But I feel like when you detach from the outcome, when you detach from that expectation, understand, have the perspective of, maybe this has the chance that it doesn't turn out how I want it to. Not saying that to hope for the worst or expect the worst, but just understanding things can fall apart at any point in time, just because I think it's what's best for me, just because I think things are going to turn out how they said it's going to turn out, or they're going to be the person that they said they are. Like, always just like understand, like, things can turn out in ways in which you never expected. But I love and appreciate you guys as always. Be sure to check out my one-on-one coaching down below, as well as like and subscribe. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Peace.